Rock and roll may live forever, but we only retire once. Kevin Lamour of Our Financial Plans and Quadris Investment Services offers a large range of financial solutions from some of the biggest leaders in the investment and insurance landscape of Canada. See how a solid financial plan built with friendly and professional advice can help. Find out more at ourfinancialplans.ca or give them a call at 705-949-1316. Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of the Lonesome Cowboy Podcast. And today I have a great person here that I kind of discovered through my folks at the Ottawa music family that I like those folks have such a great circle, and this is Suzanne Nuttall. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello there.
Excellent. I'm glad you made it today. So you fooled me. I started writing my questions, and then I went, she tricked me. Good on you.
How did I trick you?
Well, I thought I was going to ask you about this live album and what it was like to record a live album. Oh, it wasn't a live album. It was
I guess a live album.
live without a net. Yeah, but kind of like just live and you and not with an audience though, right?
Oh, no, there was an audience.
Okay.
No, the story behind the new album is I was touring with Mac McKenzie.
Okay.
You might remember him from the Montreal band 3 O'Clock Train. He's a great songwriter. Always looked up to him. So we were touring together. We did 8 dates, and the last one was a house concert.
Oh.
And without me knowing, my friend Damon recorded it. Now,
No
had I
kidding.
know I was being recorded, there's no way it would have been as good as it is, because then you get self-conscious and you make mistakes. And so after the show, he announced, "Hey, I recorded it on separate tracks too."
Oh,
And
wow.
I understood what that meant. That meant that we could mix and we could, do something with it.
Sure.
But I didn't listen to it for 2 months. I was too afraid.
Yeah. No kidding.
And then 2
Excellent.
months later, I, summoned up the courage to give it a listen, and I was so pleased with it, and I
Yeah.
decided to release it.
I know, that's fantastic. And well, there you go. Make me look like a fool in the one way or the other. So it was a live. And you know why I thought it wasn't? Because there was no background noise, like a typical live album.
There is clapping at the end of the songs, though.
You see, I was trying to catch as many of the songs as I could, and I would move on before they ended.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was one of those, like, you could hear a pin drop kind of shows, where people were really tuned in, and it was very special.
You see, I love those kind of shows, but then you see how I second guess myself and I go, are they really listening? Or are they just bored out of their minds?
Yeah, or, you end up saying, "Please talk amongst yourselves," like,
Yeah,
as much
really.
as you all want a listening room, when we actually get a listening room, you feel so naked up there,
Yes, yes.
And that's my whole thing with Live Without a Net. It's like, this is me, there
Mhm.
I don't have a band behind me, so if I fall flat on my face, that's what's gonna happen,
Yeah, yeah,
Live Without a Net.
yeah. So basically, Suzanne, you have been putting out singles, I guess, and you've been doing some remixes. So this is really kind of the first album kind of deal, I guess, maybe?
This is the first solo album. I've been in a lot of different bands. I started out in Montreal in a duo called Bare Bones, and then
Oh,
I
yes.
moved to Toronto, and I was in a soul funk band called Pseudonym, which was my pseudonym, but also my band name, kind of like Blondie.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went from a minimalist duo to a full-on, 6-piece. Then I did all kinds of different projects, and I got to a place where I really wanted to do my own songs again, and
Well,
I gotta admit, it's been stop and start and start and stop, and um, it hasn't been A to B. There's been, trying out, recording singles, going back to doing covers. In some ways, I think I'm the queen of the of the side project, the side quest.
Cool.
But yeah, this album brings together a lot of what I've done in the past, and it's just nice to have something that I can sell at a show and say, "You heard the show. If you wanna take it home, here's the CD."
There you go. That's fantastic. So that was what a good I was going to ask you about was your other projects and your bands that you were in and Bare Bones. You said that was a trio or a duo, sorry. And
It was a duel. Yep.
yeah. And I love pseudonym. That was so great. Way to
Yeah,
break it
so
down. That was good.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was a six-piece funk band. You have horns too?
Yep, I did.
Wow.
I
Nice.
did.
What kind of
Yeah.
stuff were you guys doing?
It was all my songs, a couple of covers thrown in, but, yeah, very much just another incarnation of what I can do.
Nice.
Um, I always say, like, a song is a song, it's an idea, you can sing it to yourself in your head, but then the style of the song is how you dress it up, Are you gonna dress it up fancy? Are you gonna go minimalist?
Mm.
And, I've explored a lot of genres over the years, so I just think I think that's just how you're dressing up the song.
Yes, that's very
Yeah.
cool. Good, great way to look at it. Tell me about, and I caught this off your Facebook page that you mentioned the anniversary. It was 7 years ago that you did this pop-up tour.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I think of the pop-up tour, I'm saying, geez, what did she do? Just take off on the road and then stop in a city and find a place to play? Because that's what it sounds like, but I
Yeah, I know. Well, it was multifaceted. There was a lot of planning that went into it. So, there were 7 planned shows,
okay.
but they were planned in places away from the music business. So, what I mean by that is there were house concerts, there was a show on a ferry, there was a show in a barn on Manitoulin Island, uh, an auto detailing shop in Moose Jaw, etcetera, etcetera. And the idea was to get together with somebody on the ground in those places and present a show together. So they would bring their friends and their community together, and we would create something in a place where there probably has never been music.
Well,
And so that's the idea with the pop-up, like, it pops up in a place that doesn't usually have music, and then we clean it all up after, and the next day, there's not a trace of that ever happening, and it lives in people's minds and in their souls as a
well,
as a great memory, and, it was at a time when I was realizing that music is all about connection, so the way that I went out was, it doesn't matter if people don't remember my name. My focus was, I wanna do something really great, people have a really good time, and if people wanted to join me, they could. So there was one place where I had a mandolin player join me and, and a classical flautist, and
oh,
she had
wow.
never jammed, and she was just after the show, she was just and so I wanted to create these really special moments, and
Yeah.
then the next day, or let's say a month later, people might talk about the show and go, "Remember when that woman came from Toronto? I don't remember her name. Was she from Toronto?" Doesn't matter, they had a great time. So that was what my pop-up tour was. 7 shows that were organized. It took months to organize it and find the people. But then there were also 5 shows that were true pop-ups. So
Oh,
if I
cool.
could find a place to play, like I played on the street in Medicine Hat. I
Nice.
arrived there around 6 o'clock and everything was closed, like, the shops were closed, the coffee houses were closing, and then I just found a place and started playing, and that was a true pop-up.
Love it. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That is really cool. I'd love to be part of something like that or pull something like that off, but I have like I said, after I'd been on tour for 10 days, I mean, we had gotten an arts council grant. So,
Mhm.
and we did it through Culture Days. They could pay what they want, but we still got paid because we had our grant.
That's nice.
If we didn't have that, we'd have been sleeping in our cars and eating out of dumpsters sometimes because the
Yeah.
ticket sales weren't there. But that's why these kind of things, I think they're cool, but they scare the living daylights out of me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's good to put yourself in situations where you don't really know how it's gonna turn out. And then, you find the strength within yourself to make it happen, to make it work, and,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I like to scare myself and be outside of my comfort zone. I don't necessarily like it when I'm there, but I like the idea of it, and I like to grow, and I like to, take risks and do that
Mm.
sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm an old guy, so, you know, I scare myself. That might be the last one, so I gotta be careful. You never know. You never know. So, you're doing things, like I said, a little bit differently, and maybe not doing it on purpose, but like I said, I always go when I do my interviews as a standard, let's go to a website. But you've had a website, but you don't have one at this moment, but
Right.
you didn't really rush to go get one again. So tell me about that thinking because that's a little out of the box and I kind of like it.
Right. So, I was very early on. I had a website. When I had my soul funk band, I had a website, I created it myself. It was super complicated back then to do it, and, I had it maybe for about 5 years, 6 years. I think I created it in 1999, and then the band, broke up, and I had it up for a little while, and then I thought, "I no longer need this." And then eventually social media kinda reared its pretty and
Mm,
ugly head,
yeah.
um, and, I was able to promote shows via Facebook. At first, it was via Facebook, and it seemed like there was no way to get around it. You had to like, I was on Facebook and got off of Facebook and then realized I'm a musician. I need to be on Facebook.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And so I was promoting just, through the events, Facebook events, and, it just seemed like a natural way to promote music. And, I kept putting up posters as well, but then eventually that kind of faded a bit. Um, and then Instagram came along and, yeah, I wasn't excited about the prospect of paying, I don't know, $60 a month for a website. It
Yeah.
seemed like a lot of money when I could do it for free, and I was also doing a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. I had music videos, and I was reaching out to people through email. Email's always been a really big friend of mine in the sense that I feel like if you keep a really well curated email list and when somebody likes your music, you invite them to your email list and you keep that going. I would send out newsletters via email. So all of this was working very, very well for me.
Cool. Cool.
Um, and then until maybe last year when I started applying for festivals,
Ah.
and there was always that question website. And I'd either go like NA, like not available, or I'd put my Bandcamp,
Mm.
uh, profile there, and I realized that I was probably missing an important piece in order to go to the next level.
Right.
Like, I had
Right.
been doing a lot of DIY shows
Mhm.
and doing things my own way, and, I always say everybody tries to get through the front door. And
Yeah.
I've often been the one that's trying to get through the small side window, like making making my own music videos and then sending them to film festivals, for example, is
No
not
kidding.
something most people think about. So
Oh,
that
really?
side window, like how can I get into music or find success in ways that the horde is not doing it? Because it's going to be hard, to be noticed in a big horde of people, but, like, that's my pop-up tour and, my music videos that I've sent to festivals, and they've played at festivals.
That's
So
awesome.
there are, like, other ways to be in music, that are maybe a
Mhm.
little better or different. So, I think it was when I started getting serious about trying to get onto the festival circuit, and I realized missing a piece here. Um, and I listened to a couple of podcasts from people that pick artists at festivals,
Oh,
and it
yes.
seems like It doesn't take much for them to go, "Nope, nope," you know? So, I thought, "Okay, it's time to make a website." So, it's currently being done. Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up festivals because I didn't prepare this question, but I thought you're the person that I'm going to ask because you've got
Okay.
more experience, I think, than me. That's for damn sure.
Okay.
Festivals have become the de facto. It's kind of a joke, really, for the musician, because
So,
you
how is it a
apply.
joke?
Well, I'll get to the point.
Yeah.
You apply for it, and you know you're not going to get it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have been applying for 5 years.
Mm,
Showcases, nothing. In 5
yeah,
years, not a single one.
right.
Um, so and since every musician it knows that, but yeah, we apply. We know we're not gonna get it, but we apply. I don't think that's a great thing to have about your brand coming out. What are your thoughts on that kind of stuff? I mean, I knew I was in desperate trouble when I applied for 1 or 2 festivals, and they actually said, "How many followers do you have on this? How many followers you got in this? How many, how many subscribers do you have on this?" And I went, "Well, I'm not applying there. Forget it."
Right,
You know?
right.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I get where they're coming from. They gotta make money, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's hard for people like us who've been in music for a long time and remember a time that wasn't digital, where there was no data and people
Mm,
actually listened to the music before they went to the Instagram and the Facebook, music page and, um, you know, there was hope that they would listen to the music before they saw the data. Um, so I get your point. I applied to 15 festivals this year,
cool.
and I only got 1 yes, and that was from Pride London.
Oh, nice.
Um, and oddly, that application was the simplest one. They said something like, "Tell us about yourself in an email." They didn't have the Google Forms, they didn't ask for all the specific things. So, yeah, and that yes came rather late, so I was actually quite discouraged that I didn't get anything.
Hmm.
Um, it's not how to say, it's not a good business plan to apply to all the music festivals hoping for results. But then I think it's a catch-22 as well, because if you apply to like dozens of music festivals and they all have these specific dates, and then you start booking DIY shows, how do you know they're going to line up with, and will you have to say no to them eventually?
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I've often existed outside the music business and did music, for my community, for my friends, for whoever would listen. But being in the music business, yeah, you need a website, probably not going to be chosen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you've done it 5 years in a row. That's hard on the soul, you know?
It is terribly hard on the soul, but
Yeah.
now I've turned it into a joke.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, Once upon a time, I was like, "Okay, I applied to this one, this date at this time, and I
Yeah.
applied to this one." And then the next year, I did the same thing. And then the next year, I did the same thing, and I got my little logbook, got my logbook, and then this year, I said, "I'll just write down the one that I applied to. I don't care when, whatever. Don't care when the acceptance is coming out." And I just
Yeah.
wrote down the name of the thing so I didn't apply twice and look like a fool.
Right.
And that's all I did. Next year, gonna have even more fun. I'm gonna take the chance that I might apply twice and not write down any of them because and that's the way I've done it to make myself sane from it,
Yes.
you know? You
I
know?
I agree with you. I mean, being a musician, you do have to deal with a lot of rejection, right? You're not applying at the right time. You're not exactly what they're looking for. They already have somebody that's like you that's playing the festival. But when we see all the list of names that come out, we see a lot of the same people.
Oh God,
And,
yeah. Yeah.
um, it's been said that they already know who they're hiring. Let's
Uh,
say they know that
yes.
John Hyatt is touring this year. I'm just
Yeah, sure.
making
I get it.
something up. And
Yeah.
so you'll see John Hyatt on, several festivals because he's on tour. And
Yeah.
that's a big, big part of it. They already know they're curating, right?
Yeah.
And unless they're, let's say, forced by, I think they all have like a group of people that run it. If the music director is forced to listen to every single submission, and I can't imagine that would take a lot of time, then maybe they find, some diamonds. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of time for
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yes, there's a little northern. I'm going to say it out loud because I don't care. But there's a little Northern Ontario festival with in a city that has only two syllables. You figure it out, and it's run by one person. And if he don't like you, it don't matter what you do. It's it. He just
But then if
personally,
he
whatever.
likes you, you're on top of the world, right?
And if he does, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I got
there's gate
rejected. Yeah, I got rejected from it the second year I had got into it, and they said, "Oh, we can't have repeats." And yeah, and here it was everybody else repeated, and I went, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
So, anyways, good fun, good fun, good fun. So, um, I was doing my research on you, and I found a Suzanne Nuttall on IMDb, the movie listing directory, and I went, Are you the same one?" There was children's shows and stuff on there, and I went, "Well, maybe she wrote music for it."
Yeah, I've always, had a job,
Okay, cool.
video editor by trade.
Nice.
Um, and it's always given me the opportunity to do music and not worry too much about, the monetary aspect of it.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, Years ago, I discovered a singer-songwriter, Canadian, called Wade Hemsworth. I don't know if
Hmm,
you've heard of him. He,
nope.
uh, he wrote a popular song called "The Black Fly," which was made into a little animated short by the NFB. And
Right.
so I
Now I
did a
remember.
a little, research on Wade Hemsworth and found out that he had been a draftsman all his life. And so he wrote maybe 12 or maybe 20 songs in his whole lifetime. And they've been covered a lot. And a lot of people think that maybe they're even just traditional songs, lost to
Mhm.
history. Um, and I can really relate to that. I can really relate to being a songwriter and musician that also had a day job. And I'm not ashamed to, say it.
Yeah. You're in the arts too, though. It's still that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and it's amazing how eventually they converged, right? Because at first I was editing on these big machines that were worth like $100,000, and it was, big tape decks with big cassettes, and
I
eventually
thought
it
you were
all
gonna say a
started.
moviola.
Well, almost. 3/4 inch tape, Betacam SP, etcetera. So I've seen it all,
Mhm.
and then at some point, it all kinda converged and became something that could be done just with a computer. It took a long time, so
Yeah.
it all became digital files, and that's when it became very interesting for me because then I could start editing my own videos.
Mhm.
At
Yeah,
first,
no
I'd
kidding.
ask for time on people's machines, but eventually like, now I can edit a music video at home.
Yeah, Avid and all those wonderful things and,
Yeah.
Adobe and Premiere and
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
on Premiere. Yeah.
yeah. So,
I've been on
yeah.
Avid, I've been on all of them. And they do converge, and that's something that I've found very exciting
Mhm.
for me. Yeah.
Good stuff. So when you perform, Suzanne, do you perform strictly solo or, do you have any musicians that you like to bring in on the game?
These days, I'm strictly solo, and
Okay.
that's my thing. It's live without a net, just me and my guitar. Sometimes if it's if the gig allows it, I'll bring an electric guitar as well, and, I'll have fun with that, but essentially, it's just me and my guitar, sometimes a beatbox on a couple of songs. Um, yeah, like I said, it's putting myself out there and almost scaring myself too, you know?
Cool. I like it. What's the biggest challenge that you face right now, Suzanne, in music itself, or the business, or in general? If there is one, maybe you don't have one.
Hmm, I think it's doing everything myself.
Yeah,
It's hard to find a work-life balance when you're wearing all the hats, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I found a new way to do it, which is I will work hard and promote and promote and promote for several months before a show, and I'll make sure that the show is a real event. Like I did a launch for my new album and I invited Slow Tom, X Furnace Face, if that means anything to people. Uh, I've always been a big fan. I invited Dawn Sev. Unfortunately, she fell ill. I invited Libby and Cal, Patrick Shanks. Oh, and Aaron Okranik, who is a
I
fiddle
know
player.
Aaron. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
fantastic. Great
yeah,
energy. And so I
yeah.
wanted it to be like an event, right? So
Mhm.
I worked for 3 months straight. I was out putting posters. People told me, "Wow, you must have had such a team on the street putting up posters." I'm like, "Team?
Man,
I
team.
have a team."
Yeah.
Um, so I worked really hard and then I took 2 months off. So that's kind of how I'm doing it now is yes, I'll work hard, work, 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 and do a bunch of shows, and then I'll just, release, like, just, "Okay, I'm not a musician for a month," let's say,
Good for you.
and then pick it up later, with renewed, energy and interest, because
Mhm.
we also need to have a life, right? So
Yeah.
I think as you get older, you realize that too, like, when I was in bare bones, I mean, I would call Patrick at 11 at night, "I have an idea." But it's not sustainable, like, I could do that because I was, like, super young and full of beans, but, as you get older, try to put your energy into places where it makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so I would say that that is, probably the biggest thing that I struggle with is work-life balance, although I feel like I'm getting there, but also wearing all the hats.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's the crux of it, I can tell you that. That's what
Yeah.
somebody says, "Well, you gotta get a street team." Yeah, sure, that's some
I'm the
64
street
yeah, some 64-year-old guy's gonna walk up and say, "You wanna be in my street team?" And they'll look at you like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
here you go. Here's your one big last thinking question of the interview. How's that?
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you feel that collectively musicians can change, um, the way we're being treated in the business right now? And if so, why aren't we doing it?
Wow, that's a deep question.
Mhm.
I think
'Cause
it
I've
starts
questioned it all the time.
Yeah, I think it starts with going to each other's shows.
Mhm.
That's a big one. Um, and creating community in that way. Maybe buying each other's albums, not all. We may not have all the money in the world, but that kind of support needs to happen between us. And I've found that Ottawa is amazing for that. Like
Oh,
people
I'm so
here,
jealous of your area.
when I was in Toronto, I felt like everybody was keeping their cards very close to their chest. You know, you never knew what other people were doing and with who, and then then you'd hear that they were, I don't know, recording an album or whatever. But I feel like in Ottawa, there's a real sense of community where people, and it might be because there's little industry here, like no record labels. So maybe people are are able to find it in their hearts to share their information and to, but how we're treated as musicians, I mean, I don't think that the world owes us something because we play guitar. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm. I
uh,
agree.
yeah, I mean, so many of us do. Um,
But I
but
guess
how
what I'm
would
saying,
you say that the business is treating us badly? Like, do you mean like Spotify and all that stuff?
streaming and that kind of thing is one of them, you know what I mean? And, pay at, for the gigs, for that matter, when you have
Yeah,
businesses asking you if you have a following, and my attitude is one of, well, if you didn't have me, you'd still need customers anyway, so you're riding on me for promotion, you know,
right.
that kind of stuff. So that's kind of thing that I'm talking about, why are we have the AF of M, the CF of M, and as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen them make any moves to get us better pay or fix
Oh,
streaming.
yeah. It's hard. There's so many musicians, and if people are willing to, you know, pay for pass the hat, you know.
Yeah,
But I've seen venues where it's up to the musician to fill the venue. And like I'm talking about small venues. Like, how is that a business plan, you know?
yeah.
Um,
If that's your business model, you better
if
you better
that's your
check it.
business, that's the word I was looking for, business model. Like, that's not a great business model. At the same time, we do have a responsibility to bring people in, but I think it should be a shared responsibility. I
I
really
agree.
do.
I agree.
Uh, I see some venues are better than others where they will work the socials and try to get their people, the people that come to the venue as regulars to come to your show.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, but I'm still pounding the pavement, putting up posters and telling anybody that'll listen about my shows. So
Yeah, well,
I
same
try to
thing.
focus on the positive. Let's
Yeah,
let's put it that way. Yeah.
that that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Suzanne Nuttall, please tell everyone where they can find out more about you and all the
Well,
socials and stuff.
there will be a website, but I would start with YouTube. I have a lot of really nice music videos that can be watched. I'm also on TikTok. I do really weird stuff there. Like I have outtakes there and just things to sort of like grab eyeballs. um, I'm on Instagram. That's a good one because I'll
There you
always
go.
put my posters up on Instagram. And of course, Facebook, I have 2. I have my personal Facebook and I have my Facebook music page. So there's many ways to get in touch.
There you go. Do
Yeah.
check out her music, folks, because she's got some cool stuff, and that Live Without a Net is awesome because there's
Oh,
nothing
thank
better
you.
than a guitar player and their voice, and that's it, because
Oh, and
that's
that's on Bandcamp, by the
yes,
way.
it is. Yes,
And
Bandcamp.
when we briefly mentioned Spotify, as some
Ugh.
people call them, I chose not to put that live album on Spotify.
Yeah, I've removed all my music from both Spotify and Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amazon actually removed it for me because I didn't, I guess, have enough plays. It was just all of a sudden I was gone.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I said, "Okay, that's fine." I made the official request through the distributor and I said, "See ya."
I think we're seeing a return to the live
Mm,
performance, and because the recordings can be digitized and, we're not making money off our digital platforms,
mm.
so I think that live is where it's at, and that's where you're in community, you're talking to real people on the ground, and that's really maybe where the deeper meaning lies, right?
Tell you folks, you can't end it better on such wise words. Suzanne, thank you so much for coming on the program, and I'm glad I've
Thanks
gotten
for
to know
having
you a
me.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you again, and, check out her stuff, folks, it's fantastic. We'll talk
Thanks,
soon.
Brian. Thanks.